What's different about Tristan Jarry outside of the fact that he's winning hockey games, outside of the fact that he's simply stopping pucks? A little bit deeper, what's different? And I think it's two things: confidence and quick starts. The confidence is key. And I think that's the biggest thing here. You can feel how much more comfortable he is in net than he has been in, honestly, almost 2 seasons at this point. You can see it, and this is always in his positioning. If he's deep in his crease, if he's by the goal line, he's not feeling too confident. If he's out at the top of his crease, if he's on his angles, that's when you can tell that Tristan Jarry is feeling it, and that's the way that he's been playing over the last week and some change. But hasn't this always been the book on Tristan Jarry? If he's confident, he's good. If he lacks confidence, it's very much so in the opposite direction.
I mean, that's how the book goes for most goalies, you'd have to assume. The confidence is a big key when it comes to this position specifically. It is tough to really nail down. I mean, yeah, confidence is going to be a big piece as to why Tristan Jarry is all of a sudden lighting the world on fire in so many words, because I think Mike Sullivan said it last year. Sometimes when the younger players at least get their call up from the AHL, they come in like a house of fire. They're extremely hot because it's that adrenaline rush of you're getting a crack at the NHL. You're getting that rush. You're getting that run. With Jarry, it's a bit different. It's a bit more muted because he's been here before. He's a 2-time All-Star. He knows how to do this. Mm-hmm. So maybe this has some of those adrenaline effects of back in the NHL, you're getting another run at it. But at the same time, there's a realization of I'm Tristan Jarry. I'm a 2-time All-Star who, had it not been for injuries, may have carried this team deep into a playoff run once before. We know that skill was there. We don't know what happened this year. Again, goaltending is always voodoo, which is just another layer to this conversation of could just be on a hot run because Alex Nedeljkovic did it last year after the deadline. Why not this time around the Penguins' backup goalie once again go on a hot run post-deadline to really make you wonder if this team is tanking or not? Mm-hmm. That being said, though, I don't really, outside of confidence, I don't really know what could have been changed, what could be driving this sort of momentum swing for him. More or less, I just have takes on it, or more or less just have thoughts on it, which are managed just in time for me to say. He listens to the podcast just after I say, "What do the Penguins have to lose?" He goes up and say, "We're not going to lose." So I'm not even like that upset that he's doing this. Like, good for him. It does make me wonder again, if he was here all season, what would the trade deadline have looked like? But I mean, it's a fascinating situation that proves the Penguins will never die, no matter what. They will always be entertaining. Mm-hmm. There will always be something going on.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you mentioned there is the talent has always been there with Tristan Jarry. That's never been the issue, is that he's not talented enough. He has the talent to be a guy that has a 9-10 save percentage or better in the National Hockey League over extended periods, over entire seasons. We've seen that in the past from Tristan Jarry. So the talent has always been there. It's always the mental that's the biggest hurdle. And you mentioned it. It's the same with a lot of different goaltenders, but it seems to affect Tristan Jarry to a very high degree because, like I said, you can see it from game to game, from period to period, where his positioning is at. If he's deep in his net, then he's not feeling good that day. He's not seeing the puck well. He's on his heels that entire game. But the last 4 games, he's been out. He's been challenging pucks. He's been taking away angles. He's been very confident, or at least outwardly, he's seemed very confident in the last 4 games, and the results have followed. I mean, a .930 save percentage speaks for itself, but the second part of this entire equation that I'm looking at, and I think one feeds into the other, is quick starts. In the last 4 games, since returning from the AHL, Tristan Jarry has allowed 1 first period goal and has a .975 save percentage in the opening frame. If you look back at his first 22 games played, he gave up 24 goals in the first period. He had an .860 save percentage. So the fact that he is showing up on time and getting those saves early in the game, I think that is also building his confidence. And we all know, how many times have we watched the Pittsburgh Penguins go up against an opponent, and even though their goaltender isn't a Vezina quality goaltender, even if it's a goaltender that you've never heard of before, they get some shots on net, that goalie makes some saves, and all of a sudden he's confident, he's comfortable, and he heats up as the game goes on and makes impressive save after impressive save later in the outing. I feel like that's what we're seeing from Tristan Jarry is he's establishing a base early, getting into the game with a couple of saves in the first couple of minutes of the game, and then he's building from there. Some of the best saves we've seen from Tristan Jarry have been in the second and third periods, but you can't get that confident level of Jarry without seeing what he's doing in the first period. Again, 1 goal allowed in the first period in the last 4 games and saving over 97% of the shots that he's faced. He has been excellent, I think, all around, but especially in the first period. I think that is a huge key for Jarry, is getting off on the right foot, and he's done that in the last week.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, even outside of the first period, overall, he's getting peppered with shots. It's not like he's taking in these 18 save games. The defense is still slightly abysmal in front of him. If anything, you could argue personnel-wise, it's worse than what it was when he left. I mean, like Chris Letang, Eric Carlson are still around, but he came back and he had Ryan Shea as the top-line defenseman next to Chris Letang. Now it's the guy's name who I can't even pronounce.
Vladislav Kolyachonok.
Yeah, now it's him up there. It's this weird mishmash of defenders in front of him. P.O. Joseph isn't even healthy. That all of a sudden it seems like he's still going to be getting a ton of traffic, a ton of shots on net toward him, and yet Jarry's making all these saves.
Yeah,
maybe that's another part of it. Maybe he understands there's kind of a weaker defense. He's had time to sort of reflect, listen to the podcast, and reflect on how bad the defense is in front of him, and needs to sort of step his own game up and play with a little bit more confidence because he knows he's going to be taking a ton of rubber. There's no chance he's going to go in and face just under 20 shots, face 20 shots, 22 shots. There's going to be a ton on him. And also the more saves you make, the more confidence you gain. There's a lot of positives happening with Tristan Jarry returning with this 4-0 run and somehow, some way proving he still has what it takes, and even more somehow, some way keeping these Penguins alive in the playoff race.
Yeah, that is 100%. I don't know about alive. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the last thing I'll say on Tristan Jarry here is it's not like he went down to the American Hockey League, lit the world on fire, and then just brought that version up to the NHL. He struggled at the American Hockey League. He didn't get consistent playing time because the Penguins organization values playing time for guys like Philip Larson. They value playing time for guys like Sergei Murashov, and they should. Look how good those guys are playing down at the American League level. But he struggled when he was down there. That just, to me, again, points to the fact that this was a confidence and mental issue that he has, at least for the short term, been able to figure out and put together a stretch of games here that is the best we've seen of Tristan Jarry, I would say, since he signed that new contract, probably a little bit longer.
Yeah, I can see that. And you're right. It wasn't even he wasn't even red hot in the AHL. His last game there, I think he blew a 2 or 3 goal lead.
3-goal lead. Yeah. They were up 4-1 or something.
Yeah, I think they still won, but you still allowed that to happen. You still allowed those goals in. You allowed that game to get back within reach. I mean, like I said, whenever he was coming back up, I said, what do the Penguins have to lose? Truthfully, they didn't have much to lose, and now here they are, and we'll get into it. I think for what it's worth, they're not dead yet. They're not dead in the water. We'll see.